So very good afternoon, and it's a rather challenging thing because professors are not used to speaking for a very short time. We're programmed to, we start to speak for 1.5 hours. So last time I did well. Let's see how I do this time.
I'm here. Don't worry.
So firstly, let me just say this, that there are two kind of views which I would like to bring to this. One is, of course, as a citizen. Second is as a professor of change management, because that is what I have studied all my life actually. I'm no economist, so I try to educate myself what is the benefit of plastic money or virtual cash. What I'm told the benefit is that money circulation would increase many-fold and so on, so economy should kind of, in a sense, grow at a much faster rate. On the other side, there are also concerns that this is a kind of, continuing with the neoliberal policies of the state, that all the transaction cost is being now pushed on to the users, because Paytm or whatever, it's not without any transaction cost, and that transaction cost in the short run, you can see the finance minister has announced that it would be in some ways borne by the state, but we don't know who will bear it. Notes, currency notes, actually the transaction cost was being borne by the state in some ways. Second, more important thing to me, and I just seek indulgence of Professor Das. So in terms of change, actually, if you look at it, there are two broad ways to change. One is that you change people's behavior and then their attitude changes. Second is that you change people's attitude and then the behavior changes. What he was earlier mentioning, that you push things and so on and so forth, that is more like change which is brought by behavior change, and there are successful examples. So Kemal Atatürk, brought very momentous changes in Turkey. He changed the way people dressed, they wrote their names, the way they wrote their script actually. So he changed from Arabic script to actually Roman script and so on. So all this was a state decree and it happened. So it can happen. But in general, looking at the whole world, what change management people believe is that if you bring about change through behavioral change, which is by scaring people, coercion and so on, it can not be very long lasting. And that is where this whole idea that though education and communication, try to change people's attitudes, that takes more time, it will actually be more permanent. Let me just talk about two initiatives which this government has taken, current government, why am I saying last government? So I hope this is not a prophecy, but whatever. One initiative which I was very kicked about, and we all see the need for it, is Swachh Bharat Abhiyan. Now look at Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, look at, this whole virtual cash kind of, business. Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, apart from the, in a sense, hoardings which you see around, first year which you saw, photo opportunities for ministers and bureaucrats and so on, I don't see much happening on the ground even now. Last night I walked up to, Dona Paula, jetty. I could tell you that, in a tourist, state like Goa, which must be earning good amount from tourists, and you can't say that the state does not have resources. You don't see actually Swachh Bharat Abhiyan taking up, so to say. Now, similar kind of thing, I suspect, awaits all the top-driven changes. A great idea which may not find acceptance at a larger level. And you see, this whole demonetization debate, one issue was very critical about the change of note itself, that secrecy is required because, because of obvious reasons you don't want to publicize it. Granted. But same secrecy may not be required for actually virtual cash or, actually plastic money. To my mind, it requires therefore a very sustained engagement. Because I'll give you an example. If you have seen an Uber ad, which was just 2 months back, this ad was, there was an old guy, somewhere in 60s, and it says that you can actually hire an Uber by paying by credit card or by paying by cash. So there is a large demographic group out there who are not used to this. And no matter what you do, unless, and I had made a suggestion that maybe all the RSS sakhas in the country should actually start educating people and training them into use of plastic money or something. Now I had said partly in jest, but partly actually that kind of mass movement is required to train large number of people. Second, of course, is banking penetration or internet penetration, both. In fact, if you look at smartphone, in a sense, ownership data, that itself should tell you that whole lot of work needs to be done on that end. Then only this can be a successful thing. So as an initial remark, sir, this should do. Thank you.